Listen, I do not want to lose any other friends over this, but like, are we supposed to hate Smash Mouth? Seriously, what is up? When did that start? Why is that happening? Nobody told me. I just got in a heated fight at the work site, dude, because like, my day with the radio, and they're like, turn on something good, and I was like, cool, so like, I turned on like All Star by Smash Mouth, you know, because like, he comes in super hard with that like, somebody once told me the word, you know, and it's like, I mean, I can't sing it as good as him, he's a good singer, but like.
You gonna tell me that we put plants, spices, dead animals all in a cauldron and follow instructions written by people in a book from 100 years ago and soup isn't witchcraft? Horse shit.
Everyone just starts going like, no, turn that off right now, turn it off right now. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? This song's like really good, it gives you confidence, listen to the lyrics. And they're just like, ha ha, this guy likes Smash Mouth. And I'm like, no, I don't, am I not supposed to or whatever? Because like, did they do something bad? And they're like, no, just like nobody likes them. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, I'll turn it, you know? And so like, so I turn on like, might as well be walking on the sun. They're like, what are you doing? This guy Rod flips out on me, takes like a shovel and like tomahawks it at me. And I'm like, why? What did you do that for? And he's like, that song sucks, do not play it. And I was like, the song says might as well be walking on the sun. It's a song about heat. We're working in the heat. Smash Mouth is trying to get us through a tough day. Why don't you see that? And they're just like, ha ha, like kicking rocks at me and stuff.
America was built by and for the white Christian people of this nation.
There's no way that you can buy a white thong and not get shit on it. Like, literal poop. There's no way. I don't believe it.
Anna, a lot of people know how to wipe their ass.
I don't. I have poop in my underwear.
You cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race.
We hear a lot from our constituents on different issues, but something I've heard that doesn't seem to be being covered are the Epstein files. These files were released, and like Donald Trump sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein, with young girls on board. He is on call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting. But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it shows that Donald Trump is unfit for office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court for sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies.
Judge Mullins, I'm not sure you should have been running a sex trafficking ring out of the county jail, right? Do you guys remember this guy? Judge Kevin Mullins, who was shot to death in his chambers on camera by the town sheriff, had turned the Letcher County Jail into a brothel to fulfill the disgusting fantasies of him and his buddies. And I don't mean he was turning a blind eye. Oh no, he was the freaking ringleader. Mullins and his disgusting friends would set up these parties at the county jail and other buildings in town, and they would pick which inmates they wanted to be with. As a thank you to the women, he would reduce their jail time or whatever punishment they were facing. And if the women didn't want to or refused to participate, he would threaten them with maximum sentences or kick them where it really counts. Threaten to call CPS. He was literally leveraging their freedom for his sexual fantasies. And the most deplorable part of it all, the entire county knew. Taya Adams, one of his victims, said, quote, "Who would believe us anyways? The whole town was doing it. Nobody cared. They're all swingers. It was all a big party to them. It was just so normal. They used this against us to ruin our lives." We still don't know exactly why Sheriff Mickey Steins gunned down the judge, but we do know the sheriff told an arresting officer that the judge was trying to kidnap his wife and kid. We also know that literally seconds before the murder, the sheriff asked to borrow the judge's cell phone to call his daughter, which is how the sheriff learned that his daughter's cell phone number was saved in the judge's phone.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate.
Like, New York City found out that you're having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, which is a big thing. Yeah, it would have been real bad. We went to some like underground like dance party like underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly, and everybody was high. And I was so happy because I hadn't done that in like a year and a half, like a year or whatever. And but I was looking around being like, I wonder if anybody sees me. Because this was not COVID friendly. The only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every now and then. You know, kind of sneaky about it because hotels didn't want people gathering there. Because I was like running the entire corporate response of the city. My wife and I like had one with our friends, like in August of like that first summer. So we rented a hotel. It was fun. We all like took like, you know, Molly, and it was like 8 or 9 of us in there, 8 to 10 of us in a room, and everybody had a blast because everybody was like so pent up because it had been like everybody was just like stuck together and stuff like that. Yeah, and sometimes it isn't so much about like sometimes it's just something about like bodies being close to each other, right? Just being like naked with friends.
Was that like when everything was locked down?
But it was like the summer of 2020. So like walk around the streets and eat outdoors.
Did you have like any dates in place?
There wasn't any restrictions on gathering. Like you could actually gather people. The hotels didn't want us to have parties, but they weren't gonna like.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like this because I did all this like deviant like sexual stuff while I was like, you know, like on TV and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And people were like, aren't you afraid? Aren't you embarrassed? And I was like, no, actually, I'm like really like I love being my authentic self. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. I don't expect your education to change your behavior. I'm just going to make it really hard for you to do your job. You can't get a job. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to school. It's like, I'm just going to get vaccinated.
So was it technically like kind of forcing you?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it really uncomfortable.
Apparently, shadow people can interact with the real world. Watch this. So she's putting her coat on, about to put her coat on. Next thing you know, nothing physically grabbed her, but something definitely pulled her. She is very freaked out. Watch what comes to the doorway. That's a shadow person. Stay weird, yo.
Soon you'll be seeing shadow people as you go down the street. Don't become frightened. Simply means that your higher vibrations now are kicking in. And the spectrum outside of the 12 spectrum site we have, you begin to look out the corner of your eye, because that's when you go into a different spectrum. That's why you always see them out the corner of your eye. Especially when you wake up in the morning, because you're coming back into your body, by the way. You die every night, by the way. So don't worry about it. You're going to die the night before. You will, and you will. And that's where it's supposed to be. That's why when you ascend in harmony, you just wake up one day and it's all cool. But we've got to fear that because we don't know we die every night and look forward to it. And you cross through those spectrums where they exist every night. That's what they call fourth dimension. That's when you see the old hag. Some people wake up and they got those hags sitting on their chest. They can't breathe. I felt like a wizard. That's because the pressure of your soul body coming back in was not quite seated.
Is this conspiracy theory or is this reality? What I'm about to tell you is going to shock you because I fact-checked this according to AI.
It's a meat market bill. It is a trafficking bill. It is unbelievable. So much so, don't believe me. Go to realimpact.us. It allows an individual to obtain this new form that comes with the bill. They fill it out, and they can name a child. John goes to a school in California and says, I have this form, and I am asking for Susie Q to be received into my custody. I want to take her out of school. The bill does not require a background check for this man, requires no identification, no driver's license, no nothing. There's no requirement in the bill for the school to call you to ask you if it's okay if John takes your daughter out of school. If this bill passes, I am going to ask you to leave the state of California. You're going to need to pack up and you're going to have to get out. You got to get out. You got to run with your kids. You got to go.
Hey, Grok. I'm going to ask you some questions about AB 495 in California. Please respond with a yes or a no answer. According to AB 495, a child can be taken from school from their caregiver. Is that correct? Yes. According to AB 495, it says that this includes non-relative extended family members who can sign the affidavit. Would this also include them? Yes. Can anyone essentially fall into the category then of a non-relative family member? Yes. Is there anything in this bill explicitly that would prevent a stranger from kidnapping a child from school, provided they filled out the affidavit and claimed to be a non-relative family member? And Grok says no. This is not conspiracy theory. This is life in California. If you live there, the time to stand up or leave is now.
There's a federal law called Title 4D. It was passed in the late 1970s. This is the cause of the divorce explosion in the 1980s and the creation of, there were no family courts in the early 1980s. They didn't exist. They were created specifically because of Title 4D. Title 4D provides for matching funds for the collection of child support. So I don't know about Virginia, but I know about Texas. In Texas, it's $500 million. It's $480 to $520 million per year. The more child support that's issued, the more money the state gets in reimbursements. The more it collects, the more it gets in reimbursements. The entire Texas Attorney General's office is funded by the child support collection matching funds from Title 4D. Texas actually has a law in the Texas Government Code which requires all judges to rule in cases in such a way to maximize Title 4D reimbursements. Wow. Before anything is heard in case. This explains a lot of peculiar things in family court. Family court's known for giving custody to the dysfunctional parent, and they just do it consistently. They do it all the time. I watched a case ahead of mine one time, and they gave 2 children back to a heroin addict mother who had successfully passed a drug test after 15 days for the first time. Oh my God. Okay. What was the alternative? That makes no sense. Why did they do it? Here's why they do it. The state knows full well it will never collect child support from a heroin addict. Oh. And all that matching money, they don't get it. Got it. They know that the responsible parent will bankrupt themselves to protect their child and to take care of their child, and they'll get all the matching money for that. So the decision in family court doesn't come down to, are you a fit and willing parent? If that were the case, then in 99% of the cases, you would have both parents getting 50-50 custody because both parents are fit and willing. Yeah. So what they do is they say, which person here will give me the maximum Title IV reimbursement for the state? Wow. And that's the person who loses custody so that they pay child support. That's the real calculation that's going on. You mentioned CPS, and if you're looking at laws around this, you need to know about Title 4E. Title 4E gives reimbursements for taking children. So when the state takes a child from a family, they get a Title 4E reimbursement just like Title 4D. Here's how it works in Texas. You'll get a satellite office in a rural county of Texas that's running low on budget. They'll look for a child to low IQ parents, under 18 months of age, but they'll go as high as 2 with no medical problems, and they'll go and take their children. They usually do it through subterfuge. They do a well check, and they bring along an extra party that they don't tell the parents or a psychologist. The psychologist, unbeknownst to them, is doing a psych eval and recommends taking the children. They take the children. Within 6 months, the child is adopted out, and that satellite office gets $250,000 in budget money.
This is insane, and if it's true, then it could change everything. I knew there was something about these deportations that just didn't sit right with me, and then I found this story about a man in Colorado. His name is Alvin, and it looks like he's been trying to get this story out for the past 2 weeks now. Long story short, Alvin expresses his worry that his brother that was taken by ICE and in quotations deported is no longer alive because Alvin is friends with people that work for private contractors, okay? One of which seems to have a pretty high up rank in the military. Alvin stated that his friend claimed that they were being paid to drop off people in the middle of the ocean. I say people because they are humans as well, regardless of how you want to feel about them being here illegally in quotations. Anyways, Alvin's trying to get the word out about what types of planes that these military private contractors have been using. Well, it turns out that they're primarily cargo planes, the same cargo planes of which many of you might know open up at the back. And they don't really have any seats, and the seats of which they do have are extremely comfortable, I can tell you from my own personal experiences. But see, this is where Alvin's story gets extremely disturbing, because he stated that most of the planes that, let's just say, have been transporting are disappearing off of radar, and that his friend stated that that is when they do the, in quotations, drop. He also stated that these specific locations of where these drops are taking place are usual feeding grounds for sharks, so just try to imagine that for 1 second. Now, I don't know how much there is to this story, as he seems to obviously be in panic mode, but also on the run. And I want to know if somebody can track those specific planes and find out if and when they're disappearing off of radar. And at that moment, it would become the biggest story to ever be aired.
Did this woman actually film a whole pod of mermaids? So at first it kind of looks like a bunch of fish flopping around, but then when they zoom in, you can clearly see a person's head. I don't think this is a group of humans, but actually mermaids. Did you see that? Watch this. That is a person's head. It just seems like every month a new video comes out of a mermaid-like creature, and I'm convinced. Stay weird.
Amigo é coisa pra se guardar debaixo de 7 chaves.
I want to talk about Project Sunstreak because I thought it was fake until I went on the CIA.gov and found it, and I was like, what am I looking at? On December 5th, 1988, this one man was to find the Ark of the Covenant, and what he saw was bone chilling. And I have the document right here.
Directly from .gov.
This is what he said about the Ark of the Covenant. Target is in a container and is decorated with seraphims. Target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals seem to be Arabic. The target is hidden underground. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, and the resurrection.
What?
There is an aspect of spirituality, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know. The target is protected by entities.
What?
This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. That is a CIA document.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, dude. Entities?
It's protected by entities.
You're saying that this person acquired this knowledge through using one of those, like, basically like beaming a visual?
Psychoenergetics is what it's called. Remote viewing. The ability to describe remote areas, ability to influence physical or biological systems via undefined physical mechanisms.
It's Stranger Things for real.
That's insane.
I hate that. But these were actual programs the CIA was running. It's not like
for years
they learned about it and they're just putting it in there for archive purposes. Like, they were doing this. They were the ones running it.
The conspiracy is that the CIA went and apprehended the Ark of the Covenant.
That's a crazy story, dude.
Treasury's Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. Hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere.
I only knew Jeffrey Epstein for 5 days, during a trip to Zorro Ranch, his massive compound surrounded by government land in the New Mexico desert. Epstein took my sexual innocence in front of a wall of framed photographs of him shaking hands and smiling with celebrities and political leaders. I was only 15 years old. After, he wanted to talk with me about what had just been my first sexual experience and directed me to take time to myself that night to cry. He said that would be beneficial to my growth. After this, we had a long talk about my future goals. I told him that I wanted to go to college to study biochemistry. He said that he wanted to give me money for college. He asked me how much money I thought he should give me. At 15 years old, living in northern Michigan with my mother, stepfather, and grandfather, I had no idea how to respond to a billionaire who had just raped me.
All we want is to change America back to what it was.
We do want to see whites, rise and have our own state here in this country.
I do think that Trump will probably help the movement grow as a whole. We may not see that reflected at rallies, but I think we will see it reflected on the number of people who are engaging with the ideas of the white supremacist movement, whether that's electronically on the internet or in actual person and face-to-face encounters.
So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with Dear Leader and what the MAGA
Can we address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like,
he's not whitewashing slavery.
So he's not?
He's not. No.
Okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you look at slavery, let's talk about the fact that
slavery in America was.
do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
in the context of American history. Okay. In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad.
You have a lot of stuff in front of
Yeah, I
you.
do,
What
because I don't,
exactly
because here's the thing.
are you talking about?
Okay, it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't
and
think
it's totally partisan.
We don't, first of all, we don't have time to litigate
of
all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. And if everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery is a good thing.
You brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery, and you brought up the question of whether. You brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is yes.
I did not
say in the United States
don't
is
straw man my
about
argument
race.
because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
In many of these countries, even families are divided across party lines. One says they're conservative, another calls themselves liberal, and another supports the Labour Party in England. It looks like they hold different views, but in reality, it's mostly just labels. In truth, all three family members meet every year and end up agreeing on what they believe. And the so-called chosen people, a powerful group found everywhere, hold a great deal of influence. They help shape and control the state and all of its institutions. That's why even when there's an opposition, nothing really changes. The opposition is always more of the same. And when it comes to major issues, the ones where opposition should matter, they always end up on the same side. They all believe the same things.
You need to comply with my orders.
I don't have a weapon.
That's a weapon.
This is a bucket.
No, that's a weapon.
This
right there.
is a clipper for picking up garbage, sir.
I couldn't help but notice you just sitting on the patio out there.
What's that?
I couldn't help but notice you're sitting on the patio behind this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's signs for no trespassing, private property, that kind of thing. Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were doing, if you lived here or you worked here.
Yeah,
it looks like you're working, doing something, picking stuff up. Okay, gotcha. What's the actual address then?
3333 Arapahoe.
Okay, what unit are you in?
I don't think I have to actually tell you that.
Well, I'm just checking to make sure that you have a right to be here, that's all.
I just told you I lived here.
Okay.
And I told you that I'm working as well.
Okay.
Shouldn't that be enough for you?
Well, I gotta verify it, just so I know that you do in fact live here.
What do you need from me?
If you have an ID with your address on it, that'd be great.
Fucking unbelievable, man.
Well, we've had some stuff going on in this area. I'm just doing my job, just making sure you belong here, and if you do, then great, and I'll be on my way. Okay. Do you have anything with your address on it?
Yo, look, man, here, why don't you follow
Just
me,
relax.
and I'll just fucking beat the building, dude.
Wait, just chill out, man.
Dude, this is ridiculous.
So, Mr. Atkinson, can I get your date of birth, please?
Why?
I just need to verify who you are, that you belong here, that you have a right to be here, okay?
Are you kidding me, man?
Can you have a seat, please?
No.
Mr. Atkinson.
No, I'm not.
290 Cook Club. Can you please have a seat?
No.
Put that down. Stop. Mr. Atkinson, right now you're obstructing a police officer, which is a jailable offense. I'm asking you one more time to sit down.
I'm not doing anything wrong. And you're not going to arrest me. You're not going to do anything. Because I live here. And I didn't do anything wrong.
Last chance, sir.
Well, what?
Have a seat.
Well, what? Well, what?
Sit
You're
down.
Gonna arrest the
Right now I'm
person?
detaining you
You're gonna arrest
and
someone?
investigating you for a trespass.
You're gonna. I f***ing live here, dumb.
Sit down. Sit down.
No.
290.
That's what you are. You're a
Have a seat, please.
You're gonna tase me outside of my residence? I hope that
Drop that. Put that down.
I hope the camera's on, sir.
Put that down.
I really do. No, I'm working.
You need to listen to what I'm telling you to do right now.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything
290,
illegal.
we're on
I haven't
the
done anything
east
wrong.
side of
So I'm not gonna
2333
listen to you.
Folsom.
I don't
Subjects
know you.
failing to comply,
You're actually
not
on my
sitting down.
property.
If you're an organ donor, hospitals might not try to save you. Watch
So
this.
remember that conspiracy theory where it was saying if you have organ donor on your card and you get into an accident, hospitals will either let you die or actually actively try to kill you to get your organs? Well, it's no longer a conspiracy theory. It has just been confirmed by a new article in the New York Times, and it says a push for more organ transplants is putting donors at risk. People across the United States have endured rushed or premature attempts to remove their organs. Some are gasping, crying, or showing other signs of life. I'm a little speechless because this is real. This is a real thing that's happened. They have so many different examples of this within this article. I read it for free because somebody posted a gifted version on Twitter. So go there to find this article if you want to read the whole thing. It's really disturbing and this is insane.
Лаборатории у защитников Украины. Это нацбаты. Они, соответственно, занимались, они получали процент со сделки свой, и они занимались тем, что убивали детей. Органы они помещали в контейнеры дальше продавались, соответственно. И под экспортным кодом зерна вывозились. Мы ликвидировали 8 лабораторий, а они представляли из себя нечто похожее на то, что мы называем подвалами. В основном мы уже были после зачистки. То есть, когда лаборатория была обнаружена, и, как правило, это было после взрыва. То есть мы заходили на пепелище, там были трупы, там были дети. Препарированы. То есть детки были разрезаны.
Группа, да, получается, собирала детей по изюму. Маленьких, от 3 до 6 до 7 лет. И привозила именно вот в этот пункт. Там их раздевали на 1-м этаже, а на втором их раздевали. Как ненужный материал, их просто хранили там в ямах или куда они вывозили. И вот эти ребята, они, знаете, говорили, как будто они как будто какую-то скотину завалили, поросенка или там кролика, да. Ну, они, да, привозили. Как будто какая-то ферма, понимаете? Вот эта имплантация, да. Забирали органы. Слышал об этом, но не верил. Пока своими глазами не увидишь, не поймешь. А когда увидишь, не простишь.
גדול הבעל הקטנה, בוא נגיד ככה, ולא כלום. כי מה זה קטנה לצורך העניין הזה? פחות מבת 3. הבתולים שלה חוזרים מאליהם. לכן גדול הבעל הקטנה זה לא כלום, זה לא נחשב לביאה. ופחות מכאן, פחות מגיל 3, כנותן אצבע בעין דמי. כמו שאמרנו, אתה נותן אצבע בעין, זולגת דמעה. אבל אחרי זה העין מתבהרת, ודמעה אחרת מחליפה אותה. אותו דבר עם הבתולים של פחות מבת 3.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with, and you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir. The DHS finding more than 13,000 unaccompanied migrant children that were placed with unvetted sponsors throughout the U.S. This comes 1 week after a witness in a House Homeland Security hearing described just how little help those children received.
He's accused of breaking into Halliburton's home and using a racial slur toward her and her 2 sons. His Airbnb was right next door.
With aggravated burglary, carrying a 315-year sentence in state penitentiary.
Reynolds, who faces a felony aggravated burglary and 3 assault charges, pled no contest in front of a judge.
When you can do something like that, you can go to another state and you can commit a crime and you're a police officer, what are you doing in New York?
She finds difficulty sleeping at night.
My kids still wake up with nightmares.
Ultimately, she hopes the officer serves time.
He knows what he did. It's on video. It's audio. There was people there, so how can you not plead guilty and say this is what you did and stand up and be truthful? You are out.
We may not lobby the executive, but as we were talking about, there was a discussion earlier about Congress being representative to the people. Well, the White House has to be responsive to Congress. And so it's working with, at the time, our friends on the Democratic side of the aisle to apply pressure the way that they know how to an administration, as it will be with this administration. Bob was talking about the people who will get appointed into some of these jobs. Look at the top level, we talk about Marco Rubio and Stefanik and Michael Waltz. Those 3 people have something in common. They all serve in Congress. They all have relationships with key AIPAC leaders in their communities. So the lines of communication are good. Should there be something questionable or curious that we need access on the conversation to, you never know. One of the first candidates I ever met with as an AIPAC professional in my job as being candidate for Congress was a guy named John Ratcliffe. He was challenging a long-time incumbent member of Congress in Dallas. This guy looks like he could win the race, and we go talk to him. He had a good understanding of the issues. And a couple of weeks ago, he took the oath as the CIA director for crying out loud. This is the guy that we had a chance to speak to. So there are a lot, I wouldn't call them lifelines, but there are lifelines.
What up, everybody? It's Angel Dust. Why does America look like shit? Well, we want it to look like shit. We want it to feel like shit to live in, and we do it on purpose. This is how we sell you consumerism. When scientists wanted to study addiction in the 1970s, they did a bunch of experiments giving rats the option to either have heroin water or have normal water. And of course, all the rats were addicted to the heroin water. Until they learned that in an environment with healthy social relationships, other rats, plenty of things to do, plenty of food, the rats never picked the heroin. Because if you were surrounded by nature and other people and healthy relationships and walkable communities and so on, you wouldn't form a relationship with Starbucks. You wouldn't form a relationship with Target. You wouldn't constantly use these things as this comfort blanket of, well, everything sucks, but at least I can go do this. At least I can pay for this. Like a tiny sliver of experience. And this is why capitalism is so exacerbated in America. Because we're a young country, we don't have culture. We don't have history. We're not like Europe or Asia. You are literally founded on slavery, mass integration, and just a melting pot of all these different people. Right? And here's the kicker. We taught you all to hate each other for your differences. Because if you hate the people you're in prison with, you'll never break out.
So you think the point of arresting Diddy was to shut down inquiry into what Diddy was doing?
Get the data, right? I think they did it to get all the data away from Diddy because he was being sued in civil court. And so they arrest Diddy. What'd they just convict him of? Nothing.
Well, that's clearly the point of the first Jeffrey Epstein arrest.
Weiner's laptop had kill switches in it. It was filled with crap that wasn't supposed to be there. We never get to see it. Supposedly 9 cops watched the videos on Weiner's laptop. They had to keep leaving the room because they couldn't stand what they were seeing. And all 9 are now dead. And there's names and faces and deadness, right? They're real people. Now you can say, well, maybe they died for other reasons. I go, but it's still 9 cops. You know, it's like the 5 cops who died after January 6th, right? 4 of them were suicides. According to AI, there were about 80 cops really in the thick of things. 4 of them died from suicide.
So one of the things, if I were the president, I'd do is demand the Anthony Weiner laptop and get it to the most trusted person in the military to take apart everything on it and then start using it. There's a lot that can be prosecuted, I have no doubt, on that laptop. In fact, I heard that the New York police officers who saw some of it, even though they're hardened investigators, literally had to go throw up.
We got people comfortable with his name, and we made sure we made songs violent. Very, very violent. Sometimes we used to try to come up with stuff to hypnotize people, like repeated of 666, back-to-back 666. Why got a bass line, you shake your head, you high. Metallica and all that. That's what I brought in the group. The diversity of like, hey, why don't we just put some of this rock shit over a hard ass rap track. I even had the satanic books, the little warlock materials. You know, every warlock got to have a dagger, cut the little point stars or whatever, little candles and shit. I had all that. I was into all that. So some folks were scared of it and left, put it like that. But me, I meant what I was saying. I definitely meant it. I said, so God, you're gonna play like that, huh? Well, I got you. I'm gonna make black folks comfortable with 666. Back then, black folks was like scared of this shit. You know, they wasn't too much on it. You know, then they start listening to it and go to church. They say they're Christians, but they bumping 666, you know what I'm saying? So my job was out of anger to make black people get comfortable with their name. And I was very intelligent with it because I read a lot about it. I read a lot and I put all that into the music and the energy. You get what I'm saying? Because how you get Satan's name going, you get the kids to liking it. Now today, see, I think we was one of the first people to break it like that. You would think 666 would have been a rock and roll band. So I think I was used by Satan, and I think he's a bitch.